Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, we need to stay focused. All right, so John 21:11 says it was full of large fish. The word there is mega fish. I wonder what a mega fish looks like. Well, they got some little sharks in there and stuff. I don't know if there's sharks in the Sea of Galilee. There's a mega fish, you know. But when you receive the mega harvest, when you receive these things, when your desires are coming true, you have to remember Luke 12:48 says, to whom much is given, much is required. So these great catches, these resources, these dreams, whatever, we forget that with them comes responsibility. Like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. There's responsibility there. We forget. And there's a real good chance that we forget half the stuff that we just learned, right? It's us that did it, whatever. And then pride comes in. We forget that responsibility and we get our focus off of Jesus. When you're blessed, when you have prosperity, there's a good chance, realistically, people are not going to pass the test. Poverty is much easier to pass the test. Anybody understand that to be true? Yeah. It's much easier to pass the test of poverty and lack, because you lean on God, than to pass the one of prosperity. I remember we tried to do a crusade in an affluent area of New York, and it was so hard. It was so hard. We tried to do evangelism. It was so hard. No one thought they needed Jesus. And then you go to, Comayagua, Honduras, or wherever, Matamoros, these places, the other places, they're hungry. These third world, right, these impoverished places, at least economically, which it's a whole thing. I don't want to judge everybody, but pride, it's that block. I think of like Abraham and Sarah. They wanted a kid. They realized how difficult little kids are. It's a lot of work. I mean, looking at maybe some single people out there, do you understand? You're praying. I'm going to speak to you, single dudes. You want a wife? Do you understand you are literally laying down your entire life for her? Your leadership, God-given mantle, comes with responsibility to take care of her better than yourself. We have these dreams. We wanted a home. Guess what? Water heater broke $2,000. A water softener broke $500. I could go off. We wanted the van. Guess what? Door broke off. That'll be $1,000. We want these things, which are good. They're good. They're good. So please don't. And it's good for all these things. I'm not saying any of them are bad. We have to recognize, right, that they come with responsibility. Mm-hmm. I never looked at it like this. Joseph has this dream of ruling to the point that even his family, bow down to him. And what happens? He ends up getting escalated over time, ups and downs, so God could build his character so he could handle it. Ups and then downs and then downs and then downs, and he becomes this person because when he became to this point where he can rule, he had this dream as a kid. When he was an adult, when he finally could, God needed his character so good, and a lot of the things that he was doing so good because he was running, he ran a palace, he ran a country, he ran a family, he was second only to Pharaoh. He had so much responsibility. He was responsible for God to speak through him, to give instructions, to basically tell, hey king, this is what you need to do. Insane responsibility. So I love that story. You go up and down, and then God finally places you. It was like, yeah, and it's so victorious, but he still had responsibility. And he didn't forget any of those because it says so many times in that story, and I know I'm getting a little off. In Genesis, it talks about how much character and integrity he had through the whole thing. And then he was smart and he was wise and he listened to the Lord and all these things that were great, and he never forgot because he always, when he was in prison, the prison prospered. When he was in the palace prospered. And when his family came to him that he could have smacked them up a little bit, he made sure they prospered. And that required him to make hard decisions, hard conversations. It doesn't cover it all, but he's calling those shots, he's got the responsibility, he never forgot about it. And I'm not saying that everything is black and white, but we have to understand that there's a risk of pride setting in, of losing focus, of misunderstanding the character and all the stuff that goes beneath.